In today's Wrap Wednesday, we are going to get dirty and talk about dirt and contamination on your PPF. Let's go. I think this is one of those things that I think it sometimes become inevitable, right? So this video, I'm not going to tell you, oh, you should have done this and that, or you should have cleaned your space. Because you're probably watching this video because you already finished your install and you found a speck of dirt on your PPF insulation. So we're gonna get past all that and then maybe we'll talk about it at the end of the video. But in this, we're gonna show you about how to actually get rid of it after you have dirt on your PPF. So what we did is we literally grabbed an area in our shop, got a bunch of dirt and just smeared it all over this panel right here. And there is so much dirt right here. So we kind of overdid it. I didn't realize how much dirt can actually hold in my fingertips on the actual PPF. It is a lot. So you can see all this bumps and stuff. But before I move on, I think there's two types of contamination that I want to talk about. The first thing is going to be just dirt specks. And dirt specks can be kind of anything from a small, like flaky skin, just dirt, right? That's on the ground. Sometimes it could even be like hardened soap coming from because you don't have a filter on your slip solution. I mean, it could be a lot of stuff, but typically it's a little bit hard. And what you'll see, I have one that I can show you right here. This is a smaller one. And you see this speck right here, this white speck? That is typically what a realistic dirt will look like. Because I think anything bigger, you should be able to see that. But like this one, I mean, sometimes maybe I'm wrong, but you see this small tiny thing and you'll see that it almost pimples up like this, right? Like you can see that it indents up. And then that's what a dirt speck is. This is a little bit of a bigger one, but you'll notice that that one's huge actually, right? So let's talk about that first. But the other type that we're also going to talk about is hair. I always wear a hat for a reason actually when I install, and it's just kind of become a habit. I'm a hat guy, but you know what's the worst is like animal hair, right? So you got cat hair, which is like crazy thin and it's very, very hard to see. Dog hair. Some dog hair is just awful. It's just so thin. Enough with the hair. We're gonna go ahead and start talking about some of the dirt specks. So right here, I've let this sit for probably about 30-40 minutes. I wanna go over some of the ground rules when you are gonna get rid of this. First off, make sure you have clean hands. What I like to do is I have a lot of nitro gloves in the shop. These are the black gloves. I actually like using the neon gloves like this because I can see stuff a lot better. Right? The black gloves are great, and this is an industry standard. But when you're trying to get something dark and you're in a dark car, it can get a little harder to see. But sometimes this could obviously work too. I have both of them for white cars, right? And if your dirt is a white speck or something like that. So have both, honestly. The other thing is making sure your squeegee, because sometimes you will be using your squeegee to kind of disturb it, kind of move it around so the dirt can get loosened up. I like putting it in a bowl like this, and then putting some clean water on there and so on. And then if you have, sometimes you could use like, this is actually 3D printed, it works pretty well. This can work pretty well, just make sure it's a good print, not like all flaky and all that, because you don't want to put more dirt in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to get rid of this, because this is a pretty realistic one. So first off, what I like to do is I get hot water, right? And what I do is I spray the area that I'm gonna kind of disturb first. And I'll tell you why and what I'm doing. So let me go ahead and find the dirt speck right here. And I lost it. It's gone, just like that. No, I'm just kidding. So what I'm actually doing is I'm using hot water in this area, and the hydrophobic on it is crazy. But I'm loosening up the adhesive, right? Especially because it might have been a few hours. I'm loosening up the adhesive, I'm getting it ready. So I'm not traumatically basically removing the film and messing that up. So once I have it kind of loosened up, adhesive is kind of ready to be kind of pulled. What you want to do is you want to just kind of slowly pull back, right? And notice I'm not like aggressively pulling back. I'm gonna just kind of do that. And while you do this, get your slip solution and make sure you're just spraying. And then I like to make sure that I'm not like lifting it up like this, because then you have more chance of it getting what we call lift lines. It's called lift lines because you get it when you lift. And then right now I'm right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. All right, so I got it. Notice how I'm still not really like touching that area. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put my gloves on. Here's the thing, I have really dry skin, and some people are blessed with not so dry skin. I'm not, but I can get a little flaky, so I do like wearing gloves. So when I get under there, all I'm gonna do is just kind of release that. You saw how I released it, you heard that sound? And what this does is you're just kind of making sure that you're clean, right? So if I remember correctly, I might have actually dislodged it. So it wasn't supposed to dislodge that easy. But the first step that I'm going to show you is you can, if you have a spray bottle like this, you can actually make it a stream mode, understand where your dirt is, and you're going to go in an angle and spray it aggressively. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, small dirt like that will actually come off by you doing that. So once you get that done, you can actually spray. And what I like to do is you went like this, I'm gonna go the opposite direction, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of move all this out. All right, so it actually moved right here. Okay, it's a very small speck, and I'm actually gonna show you the next part, which is actually just use the tip of your squeegee and you basically dislodge that. And then once you dislodge it and you move it, you use the spray technique, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. And then look at that. No dirt at all. So that's number one. Now I wanna show you this one right here. This is a really big one. This one was kind of easy because right on the edge. We're gonna do the same thing. Let's get our hot water right here. I'm gonna spray around that area. You don't have to use a sprayer. I wouldn't use like boiling water, but I would definitely use a decently hot water. Like we have a water dispenser with reverse osmosis, and we just kind of use the hot section there. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Okay. Okay, so let's practice this right here. All right, so I got it down. I'm looking at where it is. I can feel that right here. I'm gonna try to see if I could dislodge that just by spraying into it. And that did not work. And here's what happens with dirt. The adhesive side, it's been some time, the adhesive side sticks to the dirt. So what you just need to do is, I like just grabbing this. I can feel the dirt right here. And all I'm gonna do is just dislodge it. Just like this, right? You saw I'm just using that tip again. And then you go ahead and spray. I know that's a lot, but you'd be surprised. And then I'm just gonna go just a little bit more. I got the big one, but there was actually a multitude of dirt right there. I'm actually gonna go ahead. Honestly, this technique will work. Okay, so I got the big dirt right here. It actually went down right here, and this is what's gonna happen sometimes, is it will travel. So sometimes if you can just get it with your finger like this with a glove, just go ahead and get it. But now I got that dirt, and actually no, I did not. It actually ended up here. Sometimes you can see it on the tip. And then you kind of move that forward. So now the dirt was all the way over here. It went down and I was able to get it out. So kind of the technique, first I like to do the spray. If it doesn't come out, then I would kind of use the tip of an angle squeegee like this. This is a PPF squeegee. This is so important, guys. It has to be clean. If you have a dirty squeegee, you dropped it and you put it in, well, it's gonna get dirtier. So this, kind of clean it before you actually put it in, and you could kind of dislodge it just like that. So if that fails, you can use your gloved hands and then kind of get in it. But sometimes it can get a little bit harder. You could also use like a small tweezer like this. I just printed this. I wonder if I could. Some dirt right there. Just testing that one. The reason why I don't like using the metal one is I'm just afraid to damage the actual surface. And if you notice right off the bat, I want to show you this. Because this area has already been holding, right? Like it's been drying, and I just dislodged this area, you're gonna see some discoloration, right? Because this was just put down. It's very important to go not right to where the dirt is. You should probably go about 1 inch past that. And then when you do it, I like going to the, like if you've been pushing it down like this, I'll go this direction. And you do want to have a good amount of oomph when you do it, because if you don't, you might leave some air pockets and then a very, very clear white line, right? But this kind of line right here that you see is very subtle, will go away over time, right? For the most part. And that's not really, it's just more of a moisture thing rather than a lift line, okay? But that hot water trick that I showed you does help. I guess, you know, instead of like traumatizing it immediately, you're just kind of, you know, easing the stretch a little bit, and that tends to help quite a bit. So now that we got some of the contamination out, I feel like you can use some of all those techniques that I just showed you on all sorts of contamination and dirt. Let's talk about the hair. So I got hair right in the middle of my freaking fender right here. And it is a pretty long one. It is about 2 inches, and it's laughing at me with a smile like this. So what you want to do is do the same thing, hot water. And hair is one of those things like, you got to redo it. If you're a shop, you have to redo it. And if you're a DIYer, it's one of those things like, if you can live with it, just leave it, I guess. But if you can't live with it, I feel like a lot of people can't live with hair on the PPF, especially something this big, right? I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. And I'm gonna try to do it in a way where, like, I'm gonna assume that this is also completely wrapped. So I'm gonna try to go from here instead of like, you know, undoing all of that, right? So now I got my slip solution. I'm gonna do the same thing. Like I said, I'm gonna act like, all right, here we go. All right, that's the hair right there. All right, I'm gonna try to hydrate it as much as I can. All right, first off, I'm gonna just keep hydrating it, right? And then sometimes you could kind of look at it real quick. All right, so right here. Okay, so I can see the hair right here now. It's moving though, right? The longer it's been, the more it's probably gonna stick to the adhesive. This has been about 30-40 minutes, still a long time, but it is dislodging, but I can see the top here is a little bit not so dislodged, right? So what I'm gonna do is get my squeegee, clean it. I'm gonna try to flush it out first. That's my first trick. I feel like it's definitely working. I can see the hair right here, right? And then sometimes the little tweezers really help. Okay, it's definitely moving. I see it right there. That didn't work very well. I'm just gonna wow, that is a long hair. All right, so I was able to dislodge it, and now it's sitting right here. And then once it's this close, I could kind of just get my finger right here and pull it out. It's a really long hair. Look at that hair right there. 2 inches long, and I finally got it out, okay? So when you do this, don't just loosely put it around here. You gotta get rid of it. All right, so next, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I hydrate this area. You can see it's creating some air pockets right here. So I definitely wanna make sure all of this area is completely hydrated. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use some hot water as well because I've stretched it. If I use a little bit of hot water, it actually conforms back a little bit, okay? So it's kind of like you first kind of give it that warning, and then the next thing is kind of helping it out a little bit to shrink back, okay? So once I'm good, I'm gonna grab my squeegee. And then same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and do small strokes. Okay. And then keep going all the way. So I'm gonna show you right here. There is a small mark right here that actually shows where the hair used to be, okay? And part of that though is you kind of have to, I want to actually spray it down. I'm gonna let it sit just a little bit. Okay. Okay, I still see it, but it's definitely subtle. I'm gonna kind of massage it around to see if I can reset. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to reset that area because that hair was sitting on that adhesive side. So I'm kind of massaging that area a little bit, and that definitely helps a little bit. The thing is, a lot of times it is a gamble, but you know, we don't want to say that. Like sometimes it's just going to indent. So it's very, very subtle, and I don't think you'll see it on camera, but if it's been too long, sometimes it will leave a little bit of indentation on the adhesive side, which you'll be able to see a little bit in different angles. But the good news is you got the hair out, and you don't see the black or brown or whatever hair right there in the middle of your fender. And like I said, it will heal as well a little bit over time, especially when the sun beats down on it. So this is kind of hard to say, like that might go away. There's a good chance that it will go away, but I'm not 100% sure. I want to go ahead and spray some hot water as well, see if it heals a little bit. I feel like that helped a little bit. Yeah, like I said, very, very subtle. But yeah, I mean, those are some tricks that we've kind of learned. I like using the green glove, sometimes a black glove. You can get normal kind of lighter gloves if you want, but I just like the green one. That works really well for most car colors. Having the bowl around whenever you're dealing with contamination, making sure your hands are clean, making sure your attire is clean. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave you with a couple bonuses. So how do you ensure that next time you don't get a fat hair? And how do you make sure that you don't get dirt all around your installation? I think number one is going to be prep. So a lot of the times dirt actually comes from your car and yourself, right? That's really the main thing. What I mean by that is if you don't do a good job of prepping areas like crevices like here, or the edges, or especially your tires, all that dirt when you're pushing, when you're spraying a lot of stuff and you're kind of disturbing the air and stuff, it's in the air and it can go into your insulation. So the first step is to make sure that you do your best in doing a very, very thorough prep wash, and just making sure the whole area, not just like if you're just doing the front, I always just tell people to wash the whole car because you're just gonna set yourself up for more for success rather than just washing the front and so on. So like the tires and all that stuff. You could also use tire covers. We often do when we do installs. And then the other thing is, like, I don't have a pet right now, but I've had pets before. But typically before every install or anybody that can come here, we actually have, like, if I'm actually doing an install, we have a ban. Like people who aren't installing can't be there. It's just better. And then if they are though, and there we have content people coming in, we use like a lint roller, and then make sure, and then wearing hat, and then just making sure that there's not as much dirt in the air. And then lastly, just keeping a clean shop. That's obvious and common sense, but at the same time, like I'm saying, really keeping it clean. That's why some people have a PPF station where it's completely flawless and it's basically climate control. I mean, this area is climate controlled, but it is kind of, it's separated by curtains, but it's not fully enclosed. So sometimes we could introduce some of that. So Hopefully this helped, guys, in Wrap Wednesday. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you click on that subscribe button, and happy PPFing.